Stocks are rebounding nicely here from yesterday's big sell-off. The Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ all on track to break a three-day losing streak. NASDAQ, I should say, up 2%. Dow is off session highs, lost a little bit of steam here into the close, up 453, though, right now. Paul, the rebound today, is it just a bounce after getting sold? First up day in the last four for the overall market, or do you read into this something more positively?
I think the market was due for an update. Just like you said, it's been so weak. But for several days now, all we've been focusing on is what's wrong with the market. You have COVID, where the Omicron variant is going to seemingly make it another long winter. You have the Fed being more hawkish and suddenly viewing all of COVID developments as inflationary rather than what they were, deflationary in the past. You have stimulus going into next year, which is going to be non-existent seemingly, and so then these factors create a tough environment where valuations are high. But the key is here, if you're selling the market based on the headlines everybody's talking about, and everybody's been talking about these headlines for the last several weeks, it's usually not the best way to generate outperformance. And so instead, we like to focus on, with these problems, what could possibly go right. And with COVID, even President Biden's comments today, if you're vaccinated and you do get a case of this, it's not going to be that bad, is what he was essentially saying. And I think that kind of viewpoint can increase optimism from people that, hey, maybe we won't have this long winter. Regarding the Fed's bark is always worse than its bite. It tends to be. So whatever the market is expecting usually comes in less so. And valuations, while they're not necessarily attractive relative to all the alternatives, they do look better. So I think we're hardly banging the table on equities right here, but I think it's a more positive than what you can look at outside of the equity space.
Mike, I want to turn to you and just ask a simple question, sort of what stood out to you today so far in the trading?
David, I think the real beat-up stuff that's getting a little bit of a lift, we first got to this level of the S&P 500 on November 2nd. Since that point, earnings estimates in general are up a little bit. The market's down like 2% on a headline basis, but there's been such damage done underneath the surface. Today's small cap growth as an ETF is up 2.7%. So maybe that's just some dumpster diving, but it's worth noting that some of the worst hit areas are getting a little bit of a break.